And welcome to the Barry Foster Show again, now on YouTube, originating from the Ridge Florist Studios in the City of Charm, beautiful downtown Avon Park. I'd like to remind you, if you have any thoughts, ideas, or suggestions, topics you'd like us to talk about, guests you'd like us to have on, you can either drop us a line at the barryfostershow@gmail.com, or you can just put it in the comments below. We'll respond to you right away. Check every day. We try to have something new up Monday through Friday, something new regularly on our programming, and join our pages at the Barry Foster Show on Facebook and Instagram. If you subscribe here, no additional charge. Subscribing to the Facebook page or the YouTube page does not cost you a dime. In the studios again, John Larsen. Good to have you with us, John.
Good morning.
And you know, in the past, we've had some of the guests we've had on the Tea Party here on the program. I have an invitation to Bob White from the Republican Liberty Caucus to come on and be on with us. Monday morning, Nicholas Softy from FAIR, the Federation for American Immigration Reform, who's spoken to the Tea Party's been on. Coming up August the 11th, so after August the 11th, we're going to have Tom Trento on talking about the ongoing peace in the Middle East, something that's really dropped off the radar screen. And another guy we're going to invite, but will be via Zoom presentation on Tuesday, is Alex Newman.
Alex Newman tomorrow at 6 o'clock at the Tea Party meeting, yes, at the Vietnam Veterans Building. If you're interested, please show up. I think you'll enjoy yourself. Alex put out an article here a while back, and he's big in education, very big in education, and promotes homeschooling and other kinds of Christian education rather than the public indoctrination centers that we've got. And he specifically, this article had to do with what's going on in New Jersey. And it has to do with the fact that the state now has mandated through a couple bills, Assembly Bill 5825 and another bill, an AB 5825. But anyhow, what it has to do with, even if you're homeschooling your children, you must teach them the government indoctrination when it comes to things like climate change, race mongering, fake history, homosexuality, and transgenderism. To graduate, families would have to prove that they've complied. And now critics are speaking up and saying...
So how are they going to do that? Do we know how they're going to prove?
I assume they're probably going to have to give the kids a specific test that has to do with these things. But you've taken your children out of the indoctrination system and put them in homeschooling. And now here comes the state saying, no, we still want you to teach your little kiddies all of this bad stuff, all right, which has corrupted them in the public school to begin with. So here you are, and he's taken up the mantle on this and trying to fight this with the behest of the people that are interested in not doing it in New Jersey and so on. So it's that kind of thing that he is big on, and I understand why, because if you just take a look at it. We had Gary Brown speak to the Tea Party here 6-8 months ago from the Heartland Christian School here in town, which I think has a student enrollment of around 400 students.
Yes. From,
little kids all the way up to high school and so on. So that's just one of the non-public schools in Highlands County. There are many more and so on. So all of these people, the citizens, have taken their children out of the school system, put them in this Christian education or homeschooling, thinking that, okay, I'm away from the government indoctrination. Now, in a case like this, a knock on your door says, no, the schooling police are here. You must teach your kiddies all of this stuff.
And it's another thing that's fueling the flight out of those states into states like Florida. In fact, last week we had Adam Greenway, who is the headmaster at the Cornerstone Christian Academy up here in Avon Park, another Christian school, talking about that kind of thing. And I think it's it's part of their long march. And communists have this idea of the long march to split the country, so that if you grow up in one of these states where you're required to treat all genders and all of these people who think there's something, treat them all like they're sane, you come down to Florida and say, no, that's not the way it works. There's two sexes, male and female, and that's all there is. Somewhere down the road, there's going to be some really kind of head-to-head discussion about people say, well, that's not real. Oh, yes, it's perfectly real. They're trying their best to split, further down the road, split the generations, split the country apart. They want to make the country easy to conquer.
Well, you've got two big forces that are trying to overthrow not only the United States, but all around the world. You've got the Muslims groups, okay, that are trying to definitely take over. And now you've got these communist groups that are making strides in this country.
Yes.
Strides in this country, they've already got some people elected down in Congress and the Senate. Now they're going after the states, and next it'll be the local communities.
We never thought this would happen, but in Dearborn, Michigan, which they refer to as Dearbornistan, it's Muslim. One of the bright spots is we understand that the Corporation for Public Broadcasting is shutting down. That's PBS and NPR.
Yep.
This does not mean there's going to be an immediate end to their national programming, but it's ramping down. A couple of the places that I saw were saying that they're seeing these huge bursts in citizen donations, which is fine. If public radio wants to run on the public dollar and public people, you and me or whoever, want to donate money to keep it afloat, more power to them.
Right.
If that's the kind of programming you want and you're willing to pay for it, that's one thing. But as you said yesterday, having the rest of the citizenry here supporting PBS or NPR and National Public Radio and PBS is the TV arm, it's not something we want to see happen. And they put up totally false narratives. Like one is, these little stations, they're not going to be able to give the public the local news anymore. They don't give the local news now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the local NPR station does not do local news. It carries all things considered. It carries the national broadcast. It does not carry a local broadcast. And I was really wondering. It's not going to happen today or tomorrow. They've got enough that they're. The head of NPR or PBS, she just stepped down. She just announced she's leaving by the end of the year because she can see the writing on the wall that it's what's going to happen to these frequencies. There are frequencies below 91.9 that are either Christian broadcasting or they are public broadcasting. They don't sell commercials on there. Although there was a big argument for a long time that NPR and PBS did in fact sell commercials, and it would say, and here's the Barry Foster Show, brought to you by Strangely Warmed Coffee, and then they do like 2 minutes about Strangely Warmed Coffee and how wonderful it is, and they are paying for this program. That's a commercial. Mm-hmm. I used to work in commercial radio, and we had that all the time. And you'd have a tire company, you'd have like Yarborough Tires, and you'd have Griffin's Carpet Mart, and you'd have Sebring Signs, or the House of David Barbershop, whatever. You would have those advertisements, and they would all pay like $10 a shot, mm-hmm. And over the course of the day, you'd have enough money to pay the rent, pay the talent, pay the fees, pay whatever else you pay the electric bill, and so there were some arguments that was already more or less commercial radio. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering what's going to happen. Are these frequencies going to come open? Are they going to go up for sale? Are other entities going to come in and buy those frequencies and say, you know what, we can do this? And believe me, I've worked in radio almost my entire adult life. There's not much money there. There's not much money there.
Well,
okay?
you know that George Soros has bought up a number of these stations.
Yes,
right,
iHeartRadio. Yeah.
Right, and so on. So he's trying to flood the airwaves. However, what has been proven over the years, all right, and that is that, I'll call it insane radio, but the far left, okay, they get on there and they spew. It turned out that their station spewed nothing but hatred. It was like watching The View on radio.
Yes.
Okay, and so on. So eventually, two things happened. Number one, their listening audience went away because, nobody wants to listen to that bashing all day long. And the other thing is, it was hard for them to get revenue through advertising, because what company wants to be associated with somebody that's their only stick is to bash somebody, all right? And so on. So they did not survive. Over the years, there were a number of attempts to build that kind of radio. It never worked.
No.
And so on. So if George Soros thinks he's going to bring in, now they could do it subliminally, okay, put in little jabs here and there to get you to think about, oh, wait a minute, communism might be a good thing for me to investigate,
Yeah, well,
you know?
As we know, conservatism has taken over talk radio.
Oh, yes.
And I think that is going to continue. And you really see much more conservatism even on the internet, on the podcasts.
Yes, you do.
You know?
Yes, you do.
And people are switching now, and I've got my phone in my hand here because your smartphone is the new radio. Mm-hmm. And you can call up a podcast and listen to it at your convenience. In fact, I'm on Truth Plus, which is Truth Plus is like the internet television podcast system for conservatives. And I was watching Charlie Kirk, mm-hmm. and I had the ability, it said, tune in live or start from the beginning. And when you start it from the beginning, it's like, and I can't think of the name of the service, but they used to have it where you could watch it and without commercials, and it would actually catch up with the regular commercial programming. You know, it would tape it, or they would record it, I should say, and you can do that. And that's what happens here now, is that, and you can pause it where you want to. Like let's say you're watching it, waiting for your wife to come out of a dental appointment, and when she comes out of dental, you put it on pause, then you come back, and then you pick it up where you left off.
Nobody listens to more podcasts than in a given day than I do. All right, I'm telling you, I do, and whatnot. I revolve around podcasters
mm-hmm.
now. The thing that I have noticed, which is really kind of interesting and I think very good, there are a number of black podcasters now.
Yes.
And they are telling the truth to the black community. Not that the black community wants to hear it, because they're talking about family values, they're talking about reactions of people when it comes to, let's say, committing crime. They talk about the breakdown of the black family and all of these things. So they're really beginning to, for years, I knew that there were a lot of people that wanted to speak about those things, but I think we're afraid to do so. Now, these podcasters, and they're almost all men. There are some women, though. There are some black women now that are podcasting that also are beginning to tell what they see within their own community. And I think for the first time, you think, oh my gosh, you're really saying that?
Our friend Javita McKinney has sent me 2 black conservative guys and asked me to ask them if they would come in and talk on this program. Mm-hmm. And my wife has somehow found this black woman who is a self-styled advice giver, mm-hmm. and telling black people about what it means about this and what it means about that. And when you listen to her, she's a real common sense kind of gal, mm-hmm. and she's not, I mean, she's very conservative without saying she's conservative. You know, she says, I can't believe I have to tell you this, but, you know, if the people that you want to leave your kids with have been convicted of child pedophilia, don't leave your kids with them. She said, I can't believe I have to tell you this. And she has quite a kind of an exaggerated presentation, which makes you more engaging,
right.
You know.
Well, I'll tell you what brought it to light a lot, too, within the last 3-4 days, the activity that took place in Cincinnati, the mob beatdown of the white people.
Oh, yes.
And I'll tell you, most of these black podcasters have picked up on that story, and they're saying, brothers and sisters, you are guilty. This is wrong. This is like being an animalistic situation. I mean, they just literally, and if you saw the one lady that was the one that got sucker punched twice,
oh my gosh,
okay,
yes,
and looked at her face and what happened to her face, and she's lucky. She probably suffered from some brain injuries, because when she fell, her head, bam, hit the concrete, mm-hmm. and so on. So there's beginning to be an awakening, I think, by a number of people within the minority community. They're finally saying, folks, the statistics tell the tale. Black on black crime is number one when it comes to black men, especially young black men being killed by guns, if you will, being shot. It almost exclusively is black on black crime.
I have a video from the middle to late 50s of this guy back during, quote unquote, the Red Scare, mm-hmm. and was talking about how communists had decided that to break the country apart, they would use race, because race is very easily discernible. It's easy to spot if you're white and they're black, or you're white or they're Hispanic, or you're white and they are Asian. I mean, you pick the races. They said that is a real wonderful way to start, because it makes it easy to split people apart. If you're in a room full of European people, you can't tell who the Republicans and the Democrats are. Okay, you really can't. But it's easy to figure out who the black guys and the white guys are. And I think that, and I've talked about this before, I think this is one of the reasons they have tried to drive people away from sports, because when you're sitting there and you're rooting for your favorite sports team, you pick the team that you like, or you're rooting against the team that you dislike. When you're sitting next to the guy beside you, you have no clue as to what his political leanings are. But if he's a fan of your team, and you're both wearing the same colored jerseys, and you've got one guy on yours, and he's got another guy, you're pals. You're buddies. Here, let me buy you a beer. Oh yeah, Oh, this is great. He had an interception. It's terrible. He fumbled. But you've bonded together. Where and we've seen this where people want to get away from the dissension. They want to get together. That's why people like entertainment. People you've seen so much where comedians are held up. Oh, you told an offensive joke. Well, yeah, I sure did. That's part of the humor. Is there was a guy. His name will come to me in a minute, but he had 27 extractions in his family. I want to say Victor Borgia, and that's not right. But he was a comedian, and he said, I'm constantly offended on behalf of somebody because they told a joke about a Polish guy or a Ukrainian guy or a Russian guy, whatever it is. He says that they made me the butt of a joke somewhere, and that was the joke, because he wasn't really offended that much, But they have tried to split us apart in those ways. And one of the things they really dislike about Donald Trump is that in making America great, he doesn't draw any distinctions, race, creed, color, national origin.
No.
It's the country. And if you're in America and you're an American and you want to make America great, hey, great, we're with you.
Right.
Yep.
No, there's no two ways about it. I really believe that over how many years now, 50, 60 years, whatever, the word racism has lost a lot of its sting, because they throw it around like you throw away yesterday's newspaper, all right, and whatnot. Everything to some people is racism.
Oh, yeah.
And it really, and you listen to people that are in the know, people that are in authority that study and look at these things, saying, look, there is practically zero racism compared to what there used to be in years gone by. However, they just keep dragging back things. Well, this happened way back when. Yeah, way back when. You're right. You're absolutely correct. And that doesn't mean that there's some degree of it doesn't exist today. But when I moved to North Carolina in the late 70s, there were still black and white drinking fountains down there. All right, black and white drinking fountains back in the late 70s. Our children, which were very small at the time, had to be bused to minority schools because they were beginning to integrate when we got there. So back then, did it exist? Yes, it did. But this is now 2025. You're 45, 50 years later, all right, the system has changed, the education has changed, but your life is what you make it. If you want to be the downtrodden, you're going to be the downtrodden. If you want to excel in something, you have the ability. And I like Charlie Kirk. When he goes to these college campuses, and somebody comes up and throws racism, he'll say to them right away, he'll say, what can you do that I can't do? Or vice versa.
Yes.
And they'll say, well, I can do that. Then there's no racism.
No.
All right? You're trying to say there is, but when it comes right down to it, you can do anything I can do. Can you drive a car? I drive a car. All right? Can you walk the street? I walk the street.
The fact of life is that birds of a feather like to hang together. That's why there's biker bars.
That's right.
That's why when you pull up, there's 50 motorcycles, because we all like to ride motorcycles, and
Right.
the rest of it's pretty much academic.
Right.
You might have some spirited discussions whether a Harley is better than a Yamaha or a Kawasaki. I mean, well, whatever your motorcycle of choice might be, but it's not a lot different than if you go into a sports bar and you like the Cleveland Browns and somebody else likes the Pittsburgh Steelers and somebody else likes the Kansas City Chiefs, and they can have spirited discussions about who's better at this and better at that. But I mean, they still, people like to hang together and have the same interest that they have. And there's always going to be some degree of that. But, you don't have to hate somebody because you're a Browns fan and they're a Steelers fan.
Right. Right.
I mean, there's some of the great rivalry. You don't have to hate somebody because they're a Georgia fan and you're a Gator fan, or vice versa, for that matter. And I think that Trump brings people together, and very much in the same vein as Rush Limbaugh, Trump is an entertainer. He does things that make people laugh and shake their heads, like when he just fired this woman who was responsible for the jobs reports.
Right.
And we have known for years, and again, back when we were on terrestrial radio, we had the people to bring the jobs reports in and ask them, how do you know how many people are in the job market? How do you know how many people are actually employed? How do you know all these things? Oh, how do you know people are working for the railroad?
That's right.
Because they're just coming by right now. But and they finally admitted to us, well, these are all estimates, and that's when I quit. I quit doing the jobs report when I found out how amorphous, what a big broad gray area it was of what they were picking. Well, apparently this, and I want to get her name right, Dr. Erica McCarfer. Anyway, he determined she came up with, quote, fake numbers before the election, and the numbers that she's doing now are fake. And he told her, I think on live TV, he told her, you're fired.
Yeah, and whatnot. And she reported that the job creations, in other words, new jobs, was much lower than it was. Her number was much lower than what it actually was, and so on. So yes, and she was appointed by either Biden.
Biden.
I think she was appointed by Biden, and so on. So yes, so you have to. Does she have, like Jerome Powell? Why did Jerome Powell adjust the interest rate 6 times when Biden was in office? All right, and then a month or two before the election, he lowered the interest rate to help Joe Biden try and get elected. All right, the second time around, unbeknownst that he wasn't going to run. All right, so why did that happen, and why is Jerome Powell so adamant about not lowering the interest rate now, even a couple percentage points, which would save this country billions of dollars on interest and help generate housing sales? Because what interest rate now, I think, for a mortgage is like 6%, something like that.
Is that right?
I think it's up around 6% right now. So why would you keep it up that high, knowing that if you lowered it 2 percentage points, that would make a difference in, say, $200 or $300 or $400 a month interest on a mortgage rate that allow people to buy a house? So of all of these things, you have to take a look at where did the baby come from, okay,
yes,
and whatnot. And when you do that, you're going to find there may be some skullduggery going on.
I think that when Donald Trump came into office, he had some stuff to do right away. And I think some of these people, when Sandra and I go out and eat places, there are some places we go, and my category for the restaurant, is it good or bad? And my standard answer is, we haven't had a bad experience there yet. And then when we have a bad experience, we quit going there. And I think Donald Trump had kept people on that he hadn't gotten to or hadn't had a bad experience, and he's finally now getting to the people where if you're not, he said, we need people we can trust. And I think he would be just as happy to have a bad jobs report if the job report actually was bad.
Right.
But some of this stuff, the way it's done, he feels, and I don't think he's wrong, he feels like some of this is doctored to make his administration look bad or make other people look good.
Yep.
So he's not above firing people, and firing them in a rather, how do I put, an entertaining way?
Public display.
Yeah, a public display where people, things that we've known for years,
Right.
and I knew for years that these were estimates, and they've been allowed to get away with it, and they're not allowing them to get away with it. And I found out something else that we've talked about for years, and I just only found out that it exists, is, have you heard of the Pelosi Act?
I've heard that they start to get one in now about buying stock trades or doing
Yes.
stock trades while you're in Congress or in the Senate, whatever, and including your families. Well, there's pushback even by Trump, because it also is going to include the president and his family.
Well, the thing is, the insider trading laws do not cover Congress.
Yeah, well, that
And-
was a huge mistake.
I saw a presentation by Josh Hawley. This Pelosi Act is just going in to the House, and so that means it's going to go through committee hearings. It's going to go through vetting, this, that, and the other thing. So it's going to be a while. Will Nancy Pelosi ever go to jail for some of the things that she's accused of? I don't know the answer to that question, but Josh Hawley does say this. He says, "Look, we know information that the general public does not know. Okay, if we know that all of a sudden tariffs are going to go up on Japanese goods, and you want to dump your Japanese stocks before this happens, now would be a good time. If you know that there's new rules and regulations coming up on automobiles, and you want to get rid of your automotive stock, now's a good time. If you know these things are going to happen, and in fact, there's a kid on the internet who offers you a program if you want to buy it, and he ties his stocks buying and selling to what certain legislators do. And he said if he sees, and I'll use an example, I'm not sure he uses this, but if he says Nancy Pelosi is dumping stock, he dumps it. If Nancy Pelosi's buying stock, he buys it. He's behind the curve, but he still makes money. And so it's going to be really interesting, because I think legislators need to be under the same rules that Martha Stewart and the rest of us are under.
Right. Well, and the thing of it is, most all of her trades are made by her husband under the umbrella that, certainly he doesn't know anything about what I know. So, we
There's
make
no pillow talk there.
Yeah, we make strange bedfellows, right? Okay, so absolutely. I mean, and you're right. I also saw a major stock trader make that statement here a couple of weeks ago on TV, and he said, "Look, I don't do anything except monitor what Pelosi's doing." And today, the way they trade stocks, it's instantaneous. You can trade stocks in seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So he says, as soon as I see her or her husband specifically, buy or sell, I buy or sell.
That's what this program does. It tracks it, and when it sees that, it does that for you.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And I think it's very interesting to watch, because we have complained for years about people who have built up massive amounts of power as elected officials. There's you and I both know the story about how Nancy Pelosi's husband bought up all these old post offices that were going up for sale. And it's just an amazing thing. And we want our legislators to do the same kind of things that we can do. I think it was Harry Truman says, "Show me somebody who got rich in office, and I'll show you a crook."
That's right. Absolutely correct. Well, you take a look at all of the things that they have available to themselves, okay? You've got the corporate donors, which is a massive thing, okay? And you've got all these people that funnel money to individuals or political campaigns. And so you wonder how these people get rich. And the other thing to remember, when they take in, pick a number, let's say their campaign over the course of time builds up a treasury of $500 million over, let's say, 25 years. When they leave office, folks, they keep that money.
Yes.
Even though you gave that to them maybe 10 years ago to get reelected to office, they have that money forever. They don't lose it. So you would say, well, that's not fair. Well, guess what? It's not fair. They do insider trading. That's not fair.
They can make laws and sometimes some of these things happen, and we don't even know what's in there.
No.
No. We've talked about Senate Bill 180, and later this week or early next week, I'm going to have Kaylee Tuck, District 83 Florida representative, to talk about SB 180. And because we had Mr. John Holloman on from Defending Rural Florida, talking about the way that's going to change the way development happens. And in fact, I talked with Adam Greenway, who's a Frostproof City Council member, about that same thing. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a lot of these kinds of things. And by the way, if there's things that you would like us to talk about, just put them in the comments below. We're glad to do that.
One quick thing here. I was
Sure.
just reading. I follow Scott Pressler, who now I think has been recognized by the president. He's met with the president. He is the young guy who literally won Pennsylvania for Trump. No doubt about it. He went out door to door doing all the things you need to do to stir up interest in candidates, and that's where he got the votes that I think that helped put Trump across the line in Pennsylvania. Now he's working in other states to do the same thing, and so on. So he's working in New Jersey. It says in Pennsylvania, only 67,000 voters now stand between us and flipping the Commonwealth. Well, they ended up flipping it, okay? And so on. And he's doing in New Jersey, rapidly shifting Republican. The EVA team, which is the early vote action team, is dedicated to electing a Republican governor this November. So he is really doing a lot of the, I'll call it like the AFP work, but only in a bigger scale. He is relentless when it comes to registering voters from, say, no party affiliation Democrats to Republicans, and get them to the polls to make sure they vote. So that's the kind of work that needs to be done, and he's doing outside of the Republican Party. He's doing this under his own umbrella.
We all need to roll up our sleeves. The fact that Donald Trump got elected for this final term of his is not a time for us to sit back and relax. It's a time for us to begin to do things. And if you have ideas that things that you would like to do, or if you have guests you'd like us to talk about, we'll be glad to have them on. But
Right.
we're out of time again. Oh, one other thing I did want to remind you. I think I'm going to get one of these. My buddy Chris Courtney, I've done an article about him. He's an author, but he started a cam out his back window over Lake Jackson. If you go to My Earth Cam and you look up the Sebring Serenity Cam, it's a beautiful view over Lake Jackson.
Okay.
And every once in a while, I see the alligator drift by and everything. It's kind of a cool thing. So I want to give him a little bump there. Okay, you've been listening to the latest edition of the Barry Foster Show, recorded here at the Ridge Flora Studios, located in the City of Charm, beautiful downtown Avon Park. If you have any thoughts, ideas, or suggestions, put them in the comments below. And check out the YouTube page each and every weekday, as we'll try to have new programming up on a regular basis. And if you subscribe to the YouTube page, it comes at no additional charge. It's absolutely free. And join our pages, The Barry Foster Show, on Facebook and on Instagram. And
Subscribe.
yeah,
Subscribe.
yeah, subscribe.
No. Remember you were going to mention something about subscribe?
Yeah, it doesn't cost anything.
Right.
It's
And
absolutely free.
Just remind people of that.
Yes. Yeah, please, because we need more subscribers, and it's free.
It's free.
Gosh, it does.
Yes.
Okay, as we continue to look for truth, justice, and the American way, Barry Foster and John Larsen, and we'll see you next time.